if I add a global footer, we'll build a global footer and build from scratch, and we will insert a new row. Maybe we just want it one big row, and we'll just throw some text in there. Leave whatever it says, we don't care. I'm gonna make sure and save it, close it, and then save the changes. And go over here. And now we have our own little footer here, right? So I'm sure we could go in and play with the padding and the margins and everything to get things closer or further if we wanted. But that is really cool that we can just create our own header and footer that will be global across the entire site without having to use. So really with Divi, we can just change everything. And that's not very common with WordPress themes. Usually when you have to, even with a builder theme, there's certain static areas that you just need to like hand program under the hood if you want to make changes to it. It can be very complicated and very time consuming. So very, very cool feature. And then there's even an extra part of it is besides just doing global stuff, you could actually add a new template, and you can see that this option box that comes up, you can choose the rules of which pages to show it on. So the global ones over here by default are just going to be every page, but you could create a template which kind of works like global elements, and you can say for it to show up on all pages or to show up on specific pages, specific posts, all these different content types that you could choose whether you want that specific template to set up on. And then you can even exclude from. So you could include on all pages, but then exclude from just the privacy policy page if you wanted, right? And then if I were to create template, it starts and kind of grabs this global header and footer. And my guess is that this will override this over here. But you can create multiple templates, and just this whole theme builder area, you're using the exact same Divi theme, but you're kind of working with the main theme regions, and you just have a lot of power to create these elements that will stay on multiple pages. Not only that, but just being able to remove and get rid of the original header and footer and all of that stuff that you start with. If you're not starting with another layout and you're trying to kind of create your own layout, that's a really cool feature. So then the other thing I want to show you, besides this theme builder, now you just have to actually click the save button up here for things to take, is let's go back into a page, leave this. All right, so now I want to show you how easy and cool it is with Divi to create different layouts for different devices. So I've already kind of explained to you the section, column, and row system, okay? So now at any level, it can be at the section level, the row level, or the module level, as these little things are called, little modules. At any level, whether you're talking about an entire section, individual module, or a row, you can go to the Advanced tab and go to Visibility, and you can tell it to disable on certain devices. So and then you can do all kinds of copying and resetting and things as far as your settings. But overall, if we wanted this view, so if I click disable on desktop, you can see in my editor that it kind of grays out a little bit. But let's say I want to disable this on my phone and tablet. Okay, so that was, I think I did it to this row. So now if I look at the tablet view, I guess it grays out and still shows it to me as I'm editing. But if I were to look at this, I believe in the actual, let's try saving it. If I were to actually break this down, this should disappear as we get smaller. There we go. Yeah, so as soon as it hits that view, you can see that content completely disappears. And it just doesn't show up at these smaller mobile levels. And that is really powerful because then we could go ahead and say, okay, well, this one I don't want on here. But if I were to duplicate this row and maybe change it so, you know, instead of this text, maybe I'll even put a completely different, okay, I'm going to go into this view. Here's my duplicated row. So maybe I'll go in here and edit this text, view it at this size, and in here, I'll just pull most of it out. All right, so maybe it just says, have fun. Great. And then the rest of this text is gone within here. All right, and now on this thing, if I go in and say that this, under advanced visibility, so it inherited from the other one that I copied. So instead of disabling on phone and tablet, I want that to be there on phone and tablet and just disable on desktop. And hit OK. So it doesn't really show you, well, actually it might. Okay. So we can see our little have fun is showing up, and the rest of it is graying out here. I guess it's better to see. I'm going to save this. So it still shows you what's on the page. You don't get completely lost at the different sizes. I guess it just kind of grays out what doesn't show up. So I guess it's much better to test that on the actual front end like this. You can make the browser smaller and see that I have all my text there. And then as I get smaller, then have fun shows up and the other one disappears. While when I get larger, have fun disappears and the other one shows up. So it is really powerful to be able to just create these sections and rows filled with different numbers of columns that will automatically kind of stack on top of each other. I showed you that. These will just kind of, 4 across will probably go to 2 across and stack from the left on down. When you get to tablet and then on mobile, it should probably always stack as 1 column, and then they just go, and it always starts with the left on top. And then as you move to the right, those kind of get pushed underneath. Sometimes that's really important to understand if you've got like text going along with an image, which one you should have on the left or right, so it makes sense on mobile. But it is really powerful to have this grid system to be able to create as many rows with columns as you want that will stack and automatically break down responsively. But sometimes that just doesn't give you the effect you want. And sometimes you literally just want to create a different design for tablet and a different design for mobile, maybe with more condensed content, maybe with images that just fit better at a single column rather than things that are really long and filling up the screen horizontally. That's really common too. So that's a really cool, easy to use tool inside of this that, again, at any level, it could be individual modules, or I could even go to an entire section and under advanced visibility, you can tell it to, do the stuff here. All of you should be able to do now is from your dashboard, you should all be able to go down to, where is it? That was under settings. Oh yeah, settings, updraft plus backups. And since you originally set it up, you should actually see some of these backups here, right? So you can see that we have one that's a database sitting here, and then we've got one that's all these folders, and we've got one that's all of them on the different dates since when we set this up. And then it's as easy to replace them as just clicking the word restore, and that will completely change your site to that aspect that it was when it got backed up there. So that's really, really cool feature here. And then that also will be saving on your Google Drive the actual file. So even though you can restore it through WordPress, sometimes WordPress itself will break, so you can't even get into the admin, and then you need to understand how to get into the database on the hosting service and actually dump the database and replace it manually. I'll show you that towards the end, because hopefully you'll never have to do that.